to stop that. So if we can throw them out of that mentality of stopping the run, we can use that as a major advantage today. But that's, again, easier said than done. But because you don't want to go into this thing and just continue to do it the same as you have in these big time matchups, like against Detroit, and get down, 14 or 17 nothing, or against Minnesota when you're down 28-7. You can't do that in the playoffs. So there's got to be a change or a mindset shift or an approach shift in the first quarter of the game that flips the script a little bit. So we'll see if that gets done early today.
Brian Bulaga is amped up. I can hear it in his voice. He is fired up this morning as we get you ready for Packers-Eagles. It's a 3:30 kick. We are with you until then, continuing to preview this one. Alex Strofe, Gabe Neitzel, John Anderson, Brian Bulaga hanging out with you here across ESPN Wisconsin at 620 WTMJ. We need to do a pulse check on none other than John Anderson, which we will do coming up next. How is John feeling ahead of Packers-Eagles? Is he confident? Is he scared? Is he nervous? We all find out together after this. It's Green Bay Game Day, presented by the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin.
More Green Bay Game Day coming up on ESPN Wisconsin at 620 WTMJ.
Wisconsin Indoor Golf Center is hosting another Scramble tournament with $750 in cash prizes available. Hey ESPN Milwaukee, this is Gary Ellison, and Wisconsin Indoor Golf Center invites you to play in a two-man scramble at Pebble Beach, all from their comfortable golf simulators. Grab a friend and sign up today at WisconsinIndoorGolfCenter.com. The tournament costs $120 per pairing and is happening now through January 31st. Your winter chance to play Pebble Beach awaits. WisconsinIndoorGolfCenter.com.
Homer here. I'm inviting you to join me starting August the 9th, as we explore the many shades of Ireland with Colette Vacations, a 10-day journey filled with legendary views, historic expeditions, and unforgettable tales. Explore the historic city of Dublin, kiss the famous Blarney Stone, and stand on the spectacular cliffs of Moher. We'll also journey Ireland's breathtaking countryside and follow the stunning coastal route of the Ring of Kerry. We'll experience the daily life of an Irish family with a dairy farm visit, and even enjoy a taste or two at a historic whiskey distillery. Plus, there's a stay overnight in a medieval castle. Join me for all of these experiences and many more. Visit ESPNMilwaukeeTravel.com for trip information. Colette handles all the details of the 10-day excursion, the flights, the meals, the hotels, the experience. Don't worry about it. Your only job is to have the time of your life. Don't miss it. Visit ESPNMilwaukeeTravel.com or text HOMER to 800-990-3776. HOMER, 800-990-3776.
Winning in the NFL comes down to the basics, blocking and tackling. In retirement, the certainty of protection and income are the keys to success. And as a former NFL player myself, I have experience with both. Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons. Having played on winning teams with the Steelers and Falcons, studying game films helped me mentally prepare for the challenges ahead. Now I star in a new Hollywood documentary called The Retirement Deception to help you visualize and prepare for your fourth quarter of life. You see, you don't retire on your nest egg, but rather the income it can produce. This film shows you exactly how to protect your retirement from stock market drops and produce more income than you thought possible. And it's free for you to view. Call 855-620-1801 right now for your free streaming code to watch The Retirement Deception. Don't risk your retirement savings at the goal line. You don't need to be risky to have a winning strategy. Call today to speak with an all-pro retirement specialist to get your free streaming code to watch The Retirement Deception. Call today. 855-620-1801. That's 855-620-1801. MitchLyonsWealth.com. Your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement.
Is it time to buy an engagement ring?
Or a big anniversary diamond?
Kessler's has diamonds that come from diamond mines.
And we also have diamonds that come from plasma chambers.
When you see the size of the diamond you can afford when you look at our high-tech newborn created diamonds,
you're going to be happy, happy, happy.
And with approved credit, our financing plans make anything possible.
Our selection of engagement rings is beyond compare.
And our custom design department can modify any ring in any way you choose.
Anyone who says they can give you a better ring
or a better diamond
or a better price
has never been to Kessler's.
And our miraculous no small print warranty says,
if you bought it at Kessler's, it's guaranteed.
It's just that simple.
And all maintenance is free forever.
No charge.
Yes, it really is that miraculous.
You found a partner you want to share your life with.
When you're ready to celebrate,
we've got a diamond for that.
Find the Kessler's nearest you at KesslersDiamonds.com.
Football season. Best time of the year and my favorite time of the year. This is ESPN Wisconsin's Brad Nortman. On game days, my favorite teammate is a cold carbless in my hand. Premium cocktails in a can made right here in the great state of Wisconsin. Maybe it's when I'm at the tailgate ahead of kickoff or getting ready at home for the game. Carbless is there. Zero sugar, zero carbs, and gluten-free. Carbless features classic cocktails like margarita, Paloma, and even Moscow Mule, and vodka cocktail flavors like cranberry, lemon, and peach. Find it on your next grocery trip. Carbless. Less is more.
You're listening to Green Bay Game Day, presented by Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin on ESPN Wisconsin and 620 WTMJ.
You ready? Playoff time for the Green Bay Packers. Packers-Eagles, 3:30 kick this afternoon. Winner advances. Packers win today. They would play the Detroit Lions next week in Detroit. But let's not get ahead of our skis here. Yeah. We got a game to focus on. Yeah, John. Yeah. Alex Stroop, Gabe Neitzel, John Anderson, Brian Bulaga with you. I'm the guy that gets ahead of my skis. John Anderson's certainly not that guy. We haven't heard from him much yet this morning, other than the on the Marquez Valdez Scantling jersey that is sitting behind him at his son's apartment. John, how we feeling ahead of Packers-Eagles? Where are you at?
Well, first off, to your introduction to Brian, I'd feel much better if Brian was playing and not just having his first game on the radio before the playoff game. I like when you said his back playing in Philly in his first. I would prefer that situation. Brian, you're great here, but if we could put you in pads, I would feel better about that when we come through. What else did you say on the way? By the way, the biggest concern I have: are we going to have to listen to Homer going to Ireland for 9 months, that spot?
That is correct, yes.
9 months of that spot. Oh my God. It's going to be amazing.
You want to go? You could text Homer.
Yeah, you're part of the Homer Hour.
You can text Homer to 800-990-3776 to get information.
9 months of that till August. That'll be great. As you were leaving, am I nervous? No, I am not nervous. I'm not anxious. I'm eager. And I hope that's what the team is, right? Anxious is kind of anxiety. I know you want to have some nerves when you go in. You don't want to just be flat, but hopefully that shows itself as an eagerness to play. I'm not scared, scared, get a dog. What I think what it is I feel a little like the Herb Brooks speech in Miracle. Like, what you've earned here today, men, is an opportunity. And I think that's really what it like. Here's a way to erase 17 weeks of what has been sort of uneven, sloppy play, literally within games, within week to week, even when you had runs for a 4 or 5 where they won them. None of those games were perfect, but you got yourself into the tournament. And now you have this opportunity. You have these 60 minutes, and you can cure all kinds of ills that were here during the season. You can cover up a lot of that and earn your way into whatever the next game is, because we're not looking that far ahead. But you've earned yourself that opportunity. And if you can stay within that moment, let's not think about what we did before, because we've corrected that. We've looked at the films. Hopefully we've gone over that. So we're done. Now we're in today's game. And we're just living in this moment for these 60 minutes. And then to be aware of, Brian talked about the different kind of vibe you get, feel when it's the playoffs, is you also got to realize how finite that is. So turnovers now aren't like, we get to play next week. Like, every turnover is magnified. Every third down is magnified. Every third down is, even if you don't get them off the field, you can't take 3rd and 17 and make it 4th and 2. So they're like, maybe we can go for this, right? It needs to be 4th and 12. It can't be, all those little things. You get in the red zone like they did in the first game, right? The first 2 trips down there after turnovers, and they get field goals. That's the thing that hopefully gives them the chance to clean that up, is that everything here is magnified, because at the end of these 60 minutes, it could be done. We don't get to go play the Bears next week or the Titans or whomever. And so I hope that eagerness is there, because it's the playoffs. Brian says that's kind of built in. I think it is, that you guys know that. But then that they just realize that this is the opportunity. They can write a lot of things that this whole, or answer a lot of those question marks that they raised themselves over the last 18 weeks and 17 games.
Yeah, I think that's really well said, John. And the thing you kept pointing out is, I don't know, I think one of the knocks on Green Bay this year is we haven't seen them play a complete 60 minutes, right? And it's a buzzword these days in the NFL, but I'm going to use it here. Complementary football, right? They haven't really done it for a complete 60 this year. And if they have, when was the last time? October against Arizona, maybe? Probably their best overall performance of the season.
New Orleans, certainly.
Sure, 34-0, you're right.
Granted, that was,
a JV team, but
that's not a great team, but that's what they did. That you thought they were starting to build that momentum until it came to a screeching halt against Minnesota, and then whatever the hell happened last week.
Yeah, we're just going to ignore that.
But I don't think you can. That's a data point that exists, and
I just want to ignore it.
Yeah, no, hey, I think they would love to as well. I want to as well, but
Packers
you can't.
enter the playoffs 11-5.
11-5. They're 11-5. They went 1-4 at NFC North play. I just want to. But
like diving, you can throw out the low score.
Yeah, right.
And we'll just
right. Just like college. And John, you'll be getting into this, right? When you give out your exams, if you give 4 of them, you only take the 3 highest scores. We're only going to take the 16 best games played by the Packers this year.
That's it.
Regardless, I'm curious. We'll start with your perspective, Gabe, on this. For a team that has struggled to put together a complete 60 minutes, obviously it's now or never, right? You need to have a really solid performance here today in Philadelphia. Do you believe they can pull it together and do that today?
I don't, and I've been trying to figure out all week why. Because on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy this week, especially on Friday, we were accused of being overly negative. And look, I think they've got a chance. And you're a playoff team, you're in there, and I think I kind of figured out why after I thought about it yesterday and then this morning and started digging. I always felt when in Brian's era of the Packers, I always felt that they had a chance in every single playoff game, and I felt good about their chance because of who was at quarterback. Like with Aaron Rodgers, anything was possible. We're not there yet with Jordan Love, and he has played some of his worst football when the competition level has stepped up. And when you take a look at what he did this year against playoff teams and compare that to the other NFC quarterbacks against playoff teams, he underperformed. And he hasn't stepped up in the moments that they've needed him the most. And so often in playoff football, it can just boil down to, hey, do you have the best quarterback today or don't you? And so often the Packers did, and that's how they were able to pull off a game like they did in 2016 against the Dallas Cowboys. It's how Jeff Janis somehow gets 100 yards receiving in a game-tying drive scenario in 2015 in Arizona because of who was at quarterback. Jordan Love, especially without Christian Watson, needs to elevate the play of those around him, and he hasn't done that yet in his career. I'm not saying he's not ever going to do it. I'm just saying he has yet to do it. And to think that it's suddenly going to happen now, that's what I've been struggling with. Like, oh, yeah, all of a sudden there's just a switch that he's flipped, he's figured it out, and he's going to be able to elevate the receiving core without the guy who's been their best receiver since the bye.
Is he the better quarterback in today's matchup?
So that's the good news, because Jalen Hurts hasn't played great.
Yeah, I think the answer is yes, especially coming off of injury. Right?
Sure. I don't know, but I don't know if
weeks.
it's a definitive yes, because Jalen Hurts also adds a rushing element that Jordan Love does not have.
150 carries this year.
And that's something that, Jalen Hurts, that even when you shut down the play the way other teams can do with Jordan Love, Love can scramble from time to time, maybe pick up a first down, but Jalen Hurts is going to be able to, really do some damage with his legs if you allow him to do that.
Yeah, and obviously they have a pretty darn good running back in that backfield as well in Saquon Barkley. Brian Bulaga, is this an opportunity for this team to finally piece it all together? Do you have faith in them to do that today?
Well, it's certainly an opportunity. It's kind of what Gabe was saying, like, do you trust them to do it or think they can do it and think against a really good football team they're going to find it? And that's like, listen, things can happen and turnarounds can happen. And it's not like this team can't play really good football. We've seen stretches of really good football, whether you think it's against bad competition or not. You've seen them play really good football against Detroit. You've seen them play good football against Minnesota and even against Philly. So, no, not complete games, but you've seen them play really good against those teams, right? No, not for the full 4 quarters as you want them to, but in stretches through those games, you're like, man, that looks really good, right? But it hasn't been for the duration that you want. So, yes, I do think they could put it together, but in the playoffs, there isn't such thing as 2 good quarters. You can't play 2 good quarters and win the game. That doesn't happen, right? That's just not the way it goes. Gabe, you mentioned it, like Dallas 2016, like that came down to the last 3 seconds of the game. Like we were beating Dallas that entire game. Dallas came back and we won it with 3 seconds left in the game. That's 4 quarters worth of play. So like, that's what I'm a little bit nervous about today is like, can they play 4 quarters against a really good Philly team? And with who's the better quarterback? I think Jordan Love is like the better quarterback of the 2 guys today. The thing that worries me the most is, are we going to be able to pressure Jalen Hurts enough against this offensive line to make him feel uncomfortable? Because if we let Jalen Hurts just kind of sit back there and go through his progressions and do that, like he's gonna just pick us apart. Like, and he will, because he's got the weapons to do it. He's got the offensive line that can hold up in pass pro for 4, 5, 6 seconds. Those guys are really good. I think very highly of Mulata and Lane Johnson and those guys. Like, they're really good offensive linemen. So like they know what they're doing. Then they got the back and they got the tight end. They got the 2 wideouts. Like, so the question is, like, can we do enough to disrupt Jalen Hurts? Like, it's not like, is he going to want to run? Probably not, right? He's probably not going to want to run after his last time running, has a bad concussion that sets him out for 2 weeks. So he probably doesn't want to run, but like, are we going to be able to force him to? That's the question. So like, I'm a little nervous that we'll be able to just put it together for 4 quarters suddenly today. That's what I'm a little nervous about. And could they do it? Sure they could, but it's against a team that you're going to have to play like, damn near perfect to make that come true.
Final word on this, John Anderson.
I would argue that on offense, quarterback is the only position right now that the Packers have an advantage.
Yeah.
Where they have the better player. And that's only because of how they've played recently. It was like Jalen Hurts got his team to a Super Bowl. So like, he's good and he's capable. And as we talk about, can Jordan Love piece it together, blah, blah, blah. If he kind of finds the form that he had in that playoff run, then I don't even know if they have the advantage there. How they've kind of played this season, I would say that Jordan Love right now would be the guy I'd take. But but the other fella has done enough and, has made a run, has been to the championship game in the conference, made it to the Super Bowl. So he is not without his bona fides in this whole thing. But the idea that, if the Packers' lack of pass rush combined against an offensive line that's pretty stout, right? Like, I don't know that Lane Johnson's been beat once in 5 years, in the last couple of years. Like, that guy is just, he's a mauler. Along with Jason Kelsey's been great for ESPN. I don't know that they've missed a step at that position.
No, the center. I think the center was a Pro Bowler. Their center was a Pro Bowler. So like, I mean,
and it's one of the old things, right? We talked for 3.5 hours, but seriously, who's going to control the line of scrimmage? And if that's the case, then that could be lights out in a hurry. Again, I don't think it goes that way, but those are the things that concern me, is that line can just maul people. And the Packers couldn't stop Saquon Barkley when he was a giant, for the love of Pete. And they were just kind of finding out when they got, they were that first game in Brazil. They're still like, okay, we got him. What are we going to do with him? Now they realize we can do whatever the hell we want.
And he still scored 3 touchdowns in that game, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we're going to see even more of him in this one than we did in the first one. And so that, this whole thing, I think, boils down to that. What are they going to do with that offensive line? And do they just see if they can just, power and pound the heck out of Saquon Barkley and, make this. We talk about 3.5 hours. Like, the game could be, if both teams do what their strength is, the game gets over in 2.5 hours, right? Because they're going to throw, each team's going to throw it 15 times and run it 40.
Run, right?
Yeah, so we'll wait and see what it is. But I do think it is very much surprising. Like, Jordan Love has to be great today.
Yes,
he does.
Listen, all these postseasons, if they're going to make it, and last year against the Cowboys, he was great in that game. And when there was an opportunity, he made it, and he made plays late. He found open receivers. If he plays like that, then you're in good shape. We haven't seen him play quite like that yet, I get there's been fits and starts and injuries and here and there, but he has not taken a giant leap yet. Maybe that comes. But the Packers' hope is how well Jordan Love plays. And I think on the other side offensively is just how much they want to do with Saquon Barkley. And because I think they could, in that line, they could really make life miserable for the Packers on defense.
Yep, don't get it twisted. Jordan Love played the best game of his career last year in the wild card round. He needs to do that again today if they're going to win. It's as simple as that, right? He needs to have a career night if the Packers are going to win in Philadelphia. I'm not saying it's not possible. Just high expectations, especially when you're without Christian Watson. Hey, scary stuff out in California this week. If you're able, please help the people affected by the California wildfires in the Los Angeles area. You can donate today. redcross.org/ESPN. That's redcross.org/ESPN to help the Red Cross respond and help people recover. Again, that website, redcross.org/ESPN. We head to Philadelphia coming up next. 40 degrees out there in Philly. Beautiful day for some playoff football. Rob Demovsky, ESPN NFL Nation reporter, joins us next right here on Green Bay Game Day.
We're back with Green Bay Game Day after this on ESPN Wisconsin at 620 WTMJ.
Tito's Handmade Vodka is America's favorite vodka for a reason. From the first legal distillery in Texas, Tito's is 6 times distilled till it's just right. And naturally gluten-free, making it a high-quality spirit that mixes with just about anything. From the smoothest martinis to the best Bloody Marys. Beyond the bottle, Tito's has gained a reputation for giving back, teaming up with nonprofits around the world to serve its communities and do good for dogs. Make your next cocktail with Tito's and learn more at Tito'sVodka.com. 40% alcohol by volume, namely 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
Join the roar of 18,000 Bucs fans at Fiserv Forum and be a part of the slam dunks, game-changing plays, and electrifying victories live. Witness the edge-of-your-seat action and unforgettable moments as they happen. You don't want to miss this. Grab your calendar, handpick your favorite matchups, and secure your seats for Dame time in Milwaukee and every incredible moment that comes next at Bucs.com/tickets. That's Bucs.com/tickets.
Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. And it is playoff time, now or never. Don't miss out on the last few weeks of football action with Prize Picks, the best place to win cash while watching the playoffs. You can now win up to 1,000 times your money on Prize Picks. Prize Picks now offers MasterCard for quick and easy deposits into your account this sports season. Prize Picks, the best way to win real money this football season. Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money. Download the app today. Use code WI. You get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the app today and use code WI to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game.
Hi, Drew and Jonathan Scott here, reminding you that a lot of life's firsts are better with help from American Family Insurance. Like your first home expansion or your first big lightning strike. There's a first for everything. Get the right home policy at the right price with the right help from American Family's agents. Life's better when you're under American Family's roof. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. American Family Mutual Insurance Company SI and its operating company 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
And now it's time for everyone's favorite game, Response in Wisconsin. Guess the most popular responses from Wisconsinites. Okay, here we go. What's your least favorite thing about winter in Wisconsin? Gina Della from Pella.
Let me guess. Frozen toes? Oh, I know. Driving alongside bumper cars every time it snows. And then scrambling to find someone to watch your kids because they're school clothes. Yeah! Let's face it, this is just the time of the year when we just want to all be warm and snuggly at home. And Pella helps make your home as beautiful on the outside as it is comfortable on the inside. With inviting doors to let friends and family in and beautiful energy-efficient windows to keep the cold out. Pella Windows and Doors is the best choice to make your home just right. Celebrate the new year with 0% interest for up to 3 years.
Thanks for playing Response in Wisconsin.
Hurry! You only have until January 31st to get 0% interest for up to 3 years. Visit PellaWI.com today.
Certain restrictions apply.
Hey ESPN Wisconsin fans, Brad Nortman here. Whether you're an athlete like me or just want to feel your best, Quintessa's new wellness center in Brookfield is your go-to for peak performance. With services like hormone therapy, IV drip therapy, medical weight loss, and anti-aging, Quintessa has everything to keep your body running at its best. It's not just about game day, it's about every day. Check out myquintessa.com/wellness and see how Quintessa can help you stay at the top of your game. Your body deserves it.
This is Green Bay Game Day, presented by Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin on ESPN Wisconsin and 620 WTMJ.
Go time, Green Bay Game Day ahead of Packers-Eagles wild card weekend out in Philadelphia at Lincoln Financial Field. Alex Strofe, Gabe Neitzel, John Anderson, Super Bowl champion Brian Bulaga hanging out with you here on Green Bay Game Day, which is presented by the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Joining us now is the three-time Wisconsin Sports Writer of the Year, covering the Packers for ESPN's NFL Nation. It is the great Rob Demovsky, bold, bald, and beautiful, joining us on this Sunday afternoon from Philadelphia. Rob, beautiful day in Philly. You're actually getting like a nice little vacation in. 40 degrees out there, I'm seeing?
Absolutely gorgeous. I had a nice walk around the stadium on my way in, and I'm now up in the press box, and let's get this thing going.
Yeah, I'm going to give you the opportunity to just give us a rundown, right? Injury reports throughout the week. Jordan Love's going to play. Malik Willis is off the injury report. Defensively, it seems like the Packers getting a lot of pieces back. Run us through what we should know ahead of Packers-Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was a brief moment of pause yesterday when the Packers added Sean Clifford to the roster as the third quarterback, but you have to remember they had that open roster spot from Jair Alexander going on IR, so no issues with the quarterbacks. There was no, they weren't added to the injury report or anything, so the Sean Clifford move was just to fill a roster spot and get him up for the opportunity to dress on game day. Offensively, obviously they're not getting Christian Watson back, but everything else is looking pretty good. On the defensive side of the ball, it looks like Quay Walker and Evan Williams will play. TJ Slayton didn't do a whole lot at practice this week, and while people may not get too excited about the possibility of having TJ Slayton, I mean, let's not forget he's probably their best or one of their best interior run defenders, and we all know who's running the football for the other team. So TJ Slayton's probably the one pregame injury to watch.
Rob, true or false, Jordan Love needs to be the best player on the field today for the Packers to win?
False.
Ooh.
Care to elaborate?
Yeah, Gabe, he needs to be really good, but he doesn't need to be a hero, right? Like, I still say the formula is if Josh Jacobs goes for, 125 plus, I think that may be more important than Jordan Love throwing for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. Like, I mean, Jordan Love's got to be good. He does not have to be a hero. And I think, it'll be interesting to see, how they start the game with him and whether they try to go vertical against this team. But I don't think you're going to, and that's the whole Vic Fangio defense. And that's why I think, Gabe, that he probably won't be the best player on the field because that's not the way the Eagles play defense. They're going to make him dink and dunk, and then he can't turn it over. So to me, obviously the quarterback has to play really well, but I don't know that that's necessarily the only way the Packers win.
Always a thrill catching up with Rob Demovsky, ESPN NFL Nation reporter, and always a thrill to dive into the brain of John Anderson when Rob Demovsky joins us here on Green Bay Game Day. Go ahead, John.
No, so I think he has to be great. What that great looks like doesn't necessarily have to be 4 touchdowns and 300 yards. I just think he can't be, careless and sloppy and some of those other things. So, Rob, right. I read the stuff. Everybody says the right thing. How are you convinced of the Packers when they say, we're ready and it's a new season and it's a start to this and we can get things cleaned up? Like, are they convincing when you're in the locker room chatting with them when you hear that?
Well, John, here's what I do buy. I do buy the fact that they didn't just slough off the last 2 weeks and say, oh, that doesn't matter. We were in the playoffs anyway. They have not said that. To me, that's a good thing. They've admitted their shortcomings the last couple of weeks, and they're not burying their head in the sand. So from that standpoint, I am, somewhat convinced that this team is in the right headspace. The vibe is as good as it can be. And there is definitely excuse me, a different buzz to playoff weeks. And I do think this team sort of embodied that as the week goes on. Now, incidentally, real quick before we move on to the next question, the day would not be complete without me running into Sal Palantonio in the press box and him telling you, John, that he says hello.
Oh, Sal's a Navy man. He is such a good dude. Love Sal Pal. Thank you, Rob.
Yep.
Hey, Rob. How you doing, man? It's good to hear.
Brian.
I'm glad you're enjoying your time in Philly. It's always city brotherly love. They're so nice out there. But
I had a cheesesteak this morning, and it was technically this morning. At about 11 o'clock, I did go for a late breakfast, early lunch.
I was going to ask if you got your cheesesteak fixed. Glad to hear you did.
Del Rossi's, not exactly sure how to pronounce it, but it was very good.
Yeah, man, you could eat those for breakfast. There's no problem with that. So you said that you don't think Jordan Love needs to be the best player. You think the formula could be, Jacobs running for 125 yards. I mean, looking at the Eagles defensively, they're the number one overall total defense in the league.
Yeah.
They give up about a $104 rushing a game. That's what their average is, at least. Their passing numbers are even better than that. Is there a formula for that for Green Bay to be able to run the ball like that on Philly, I guess? Is there proof that can be the formula, I guess?
Yeah, to me, it is possible, Brian, but to me the formula is more intermediate stuff over the middle of the field. And to me, that's where Tucker Kraft and Jaden Reed come in. That's the Vic Fangio defense, right? So to me, those are maybe the two guys I would be most banking on. The other thing, Brian, this isn't maybe unique to playoff games, but I feel like it's extra important in playoff games, is that defensively they have to make a couple of plays, right? Like you think about playoff wins, even last year, right? Then there was a big defensive play. Darnell Savage, of all people, right, made a big defensive play early in the game in Dallas, picking off Dak Prescott. It just seems like, and I go back to, I'm back in Philadelphia, so it reminds me of Tremont Williams' interception in the 2010 wild card game. It just seems like, you can't make zero plays defensively and win playoff games. So I just think those are the formulas to win a game that's maybe like, 21-17 type of football game.
If there's a Packer that doesn't get enough flowers, it is one of my all-time favorites, Tremont Williams. So I'm glad Rob brought him up there. Rob Demovsky with us here on Green Bay Game Day, ESPN Wisconsin 620 WTMJ. Rob, what's been the bigger upgrade over the course of the last calendar year for the Packers? Is it from the aforementioned Darnell Savage to Xavier McKinney at safety, or is it the coordinator switch, Joe Barry to Jeff Hafley? What's been the bigger upgrade?
Wow, that's a good question. Their safety play was so bad last year. But I think it took the right defensive system in order for a guy like Xavier McKinney to flourish. Not that X isn't a great player, but he's also got to be put in positions that they're putting him in. So I've got a hard time, answering that question other than to say yes to both.
Yeah, that's fair. Both very big upgrades, and obviously we've given them plenty of their flowers, rightfully so this year. Go ahead, Gabe.
How healthy is Luke Musgrave in terms of getting a more full complement of snaps, and could his speed and two tight end sets be something they try to use to offset no Christian Watson?
We haven't really seen much of that so far, Gabe, have we? Since Musgrave's been back, it's just been a few snaps here or there. I think he did have maybe one catch last week. And I'll put it this way. I've yet to see any evidence that he is going to be the, speed tight end that we thought he was. I know he's back from the ankle injury, but that was anytime you have to have surgery on your ankle, that's a bad deal. And, even though you're back, it's hard to get your push off, back right away. So I think it might be a bit too much to ask for Luke Musgrave to have a major impact on this game.
Yeah. What's the Packers' biggest advantage today, Rob? Coaching staff?
Here's what I think it is. I think it's the pressure on Philadelphia, given how some of their shortcomings in the last couple of seasons. I just think there's intense pressure on Nick Sirianni. I know they won 14 games in the regular season, but if they flame out again early in the playoffs, that's not a great sign.
Could he lose his job if they lose today?
I mean, I don't think you can rule it out. I mean, remember what it was like last offseason around him? Like, you know, him and the quarterback and those issues. So, to me, that's the Packers' biggest advantage. And I would say it's a little bit of their same advantage last year in Dallas. It's easy to be the 7th seed. You know, it really is from a mental standpoint. And I think that's where, you know, that's where if the Eagles, you know, sphincter gets a little tight, if I'm allowed to say sphincter
you
on
are.
the radio.
You are.
Okay.
If not, you just said it twice, so I guess we got to let it go.
That's why I did it, Gabe. I doubled down.
That's so good for Rob Demovsky here with us on Green Bay Game Day. Brian, what's on your mind? What else you got for Rob?
I guess Rob, if we're looking at, I mean, we talked about it earlier. Like, we're looking at Green Bay's defensive front against Philly's offensive line. Like, Hafley's probably most likely going to have to create some type of pressure package to bother Hurts, because I was talking to, you know, Wilde on the Homer Hour on Thursday, and he said you guys were talking to Hafley, and he said that the rush plan that he had week 1 is not doing that again. It was a mush rush style plan that's out the window because it doesn't work. Mush rush never works. So there's got to be more of an aggressive style or plan that he's coming into this week. I would imagine there's going to be 5-6 rushers trying to make him anxious. Is that what you think's coming?
Well, and the other thing too, Brian, I mean, like, not only was it the first game of the season, it was the first game that Jeff Hafley had called for this team, right? So you at that point, he's probably still very much feeling out what he had. And I think the one thing we've seen from Jeff Hafley as the season's gone along is not necessarily that they're, you know, sending 5 and 6 man pressures, but they're sending different guys. There might be 5 or 6 different guys that have big pass rushing plays, not all on the same the same snap, obviously, but I mean, we've seen him send, you know, linebackers, and then, you know, it's still a 4-man rush, so technically you can't call it a blitz, but it's still a blitzing player from a non-traditional pass rushing position. And I mean, the guys to watch out, you know, in that regard, obviously the number 1 is Edgerrin Cooper, right? I mean, he's shown an ability to do that, you know, and get home even when he's, you know, rushing, but it's still only a 4-man pressure. So to me, that's where I think that you might see Jeff Hafley get a little bit more aggressive.
I would guess he will, right? You mentioned Cooper. He's got Evan Williams healthy. He's got Javon Bullard healthy. He's got Quay Walker healthy. This feels like one of the first games this season where all 4 of those guys will be on the field together. So aggressiveness could really be cranked up by Hafley.
And you hate to sound coach speak though, but a lot of it depends on down and distance. You have to be in the right down and distances. Like, you can't be giving up 6-7 yards on first or second down. Like, that's not a formula. So if you do that, then you can get a little bit more aggressive on third down.
Rob, always appreciate the insight. Last thing for you, as always, are we talking to you next week, or is this our final conversation of the year?
You know, last year going to Dallas, Alex, I just went into that game. They got no chance to win, and of course they win in pretty big fashion. This year, I think they're going to win, so that probably means they'll lose. But I do think they have a really good shot at winning. To be honest with you, I think maybe I'm putting too much pressure in an intangible, or too much emphasis in intangible. But that pressure on Philadelphia, to me, might make them crack.
I love it. I will always applaud positivity here on Green Bay Game Day.
By the way, I just used sphincter and crack in the same radio hit, so.
Well, we'll see if you can do better than that next week, Rob, because according to you, we'll be talking to you. Hold on.
I'd like to take credit for Rob's appearances on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy for him using such language.
Is it your fault?
Not my fault, but our show's fault. Yes.
No, you've conditioned me to that.
Yeah.
There's a chance the show could be back next week, but Rob might not. PG-13 thing's gone right the hell out the window.
That's very good, John. I appreciate it.
Very good point by John Anderson. Rob, appreciate you as always. Hopefully we're talking to you next week ahead of the divisional round. Thanks, buddy.
We'll be seeing you.
The great Rob Demovsky, ESPN NFL Nation reporter. Read him, ESPN.com, see him, ESPN TV, and, of course, hear him right here on ESPN Wisconsin and Wisconsin On Demand, 620 WTMJ, etc. Same game plan for both of these teams. We'll dive into it. I'll explain what I mean. Coming up next, it's Green Bay Game Day, presented by the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin.
Stay right here. Green Bay Game Day will be right back on ESPN Wisconsin and 620 WTMJ.
I'm very familiar with Gruber Law offices because they're always out in the community.
Gruber Law offices are known to be honest, hardworking.
They're always involved in our neighborhoods.
Gruber Law offices make our community a better place.
They are the best. For nearly 40 years, Gruber Law Offices has helped people throughout Wisconsin. If you're injured, we're here to help. One call, that's all.
Wisconsin would not be the same without Gruber Law offices.
For over 4 decades, one name has stood out as a symbol of excellence in automotive sales and service. It's the Boucher Automotive Group, dedicated to providing exceptional experiences to all of our valued customers.
We will help you find the perfect vehicle within your budget while respecting your time.
With 20 convenient locations, we're the one-stop destination for all your automotive needs.
At Boucher, we're your trusted partner on every mile of your journey, riding with you every mile since 1977.
Winning in the NFL comes down to the basics, blocking and tackling. In retirement, the certainty of protection and income are the keys to success. And as a former NFL player myself, I have experience with both. Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons. Having played on winning teams with the Steelers and Falcons, studying game films helped me mentally prepare for the challenges ahead. Now I star in a new Hollywood documentary called The Retirement Deception to help you visualize and prepare for your fourth quarter of life. You see, you don't retire on your nest egg, but rather the income it can produce. This film shows you exactly how to protect your retirement from stock market drops and produce more income than you thought possible. And it's free for you to view. Call 855-620-1801 right now for your free streaming code to watch The Retirement Deception. Don't risk your retirement savings at the goal line. You don't need to be risky to have a winning strategy. Call today to speak with an all-pro retirement specialist to get your free streaming code to watch The Retirement Deception. Call today. 855-620-1801. That's 855-620-1801. MitchLyonsWealth.com. Your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement.
Fingers come in different sizes.
It's one of the first things you learn as a jeweler.
And a ring can only be sized up or down a little bit.
Which means it's a really good thing to know your ring size.
And it's an even better thing to know their ring size.
This is why we're announcing
the Ring Size Registry at Kessler's.
We're doing it as a public service. It's completely free.
Free. Isn't that a great price?
Here's how it works.
Just drop into any Kessler's Diamonds location and tell one of the owners that you'd like to know your ring size.
Kessler's is an employee-owned company, so whoever greets you at the door is an owner.
They'll determine your ring sizes and add them to our Ring Size Registry.
Then, when someone wants to know your ring size...
Because, you know, maybe they want to surprise you.
All they have to do is call or stop into Kessler's.
Surprises can be fun, don't you think?
We're happy to do this for you, even if you don't buy a ring from us.
But after you take a look around, we think you probably will. Visit KesslersDiamonds.com for a location near you and register your ring sizes today.
Dr. Aaron Holtebeck and his team at Holtebeck Eye Center make vision care a top priority with the latest technologies at their state-of-the-art Brookfield office. Dr. Holtebeck has been helping local patients with their eye care needs for over 20 years. And now, Holtebeck Eye Center is excited to add Dr. Nausheen Abbas to their team. Dr. Abbas is an ophthalmologist and cornea specialist that is now available to see patients. Located in Brookfield near the corner of Calhoun and Capitol, learn more about their services at holtebeck.com.
Football season. Best time of the year and my favorite time of the year. This is ESPN Wisconsin's Brad Nortman. On game days, my favorite teammate is a cold carbless in my hand. Premium cocktails in a can made right here in the great state of Wisconsin. Maybe it's when I'm at the tailgate ahead of kickoff or getting ready at home for the game. Carbless is there. Zero sugar, zero carbs, and gluten-free. Carbless features classic cocktails like margarita, Paloma, and even Moscow Mule, and vodka cocktail flavors like cranberry, lemon, and peach. Find it on your next grocery trip. Carbless. Less is more.
Welcome back to Green Bay Game Day, presented by Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin on ESPN Wisconsin and 620 WTMJ.
The Island Resort and Casino is a premier resort destination, the largest north of Milwaukee, with everything you like to do in one awesome location. Visit islandresortandcasino.com and book your total experience today. It's Green Bay Game Day, presented by the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin with the ESPN Wisconsin and 620 WTMJ. Alex Strofe, Gabe Neitzel, John Anderson, Brian Bulaga hanging out with you until about 3:25 this afternoon as we lead you to kickoff Packers-Eagles wild card round at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia. Seems to me, fellas, like both teams going to be playing a similar style. Make the opposing quarterback beat you. Slow down Saquon, slow down Josh Jacobs. It seems like that is going to be both of the teams' MO today. It just comes down to now which team can execute the game plan better. Look, the Packers have been really good against the run this year. They're the seventh best team in the NFL in that category. I'm still worried about stopping Saquon Barkley, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different animal, right? The dude rushed for over 2,000 yards, had a great game against the Packers, but that's what they have to do. I think they have to sell out to stop Saquon, because if you don't stop Saquon, then you don't have a chance.
You're agreed.
Like, you got to do whatever you can, and if you got to take some risks and some gambles, maybe Jalen Hurts isn't able to take advantage of some one-on-ones on the outside, but if you're unable to stop Saquon, that's number one, bold it, italicize it, whatever you want to do. If you don't stop Saquon, the defense is not going to give the team a chance.
Look, I have faith in Halfley. I think he's going to reveal some things we haven't seen a ton of this year, because I still think, and maybe this is just me being a blind fan, right? Blind hope, and hope is not a strategy, that he has some things up his sleeves that we haven't seen yet, because I do believe in him and how creative he's been defensively against a really good Philly team. John, is this a strategy that you think the Packers can get done? Can they slow down Saquon?
Yeah, I don't know if they can get it done. I know that it should be. I'll go Gabe one better. Like, that should be the first three things on their list. Saquon, Barkley, and that. And although it's funny, I was talking with my son yesterday, and about how great Derrick Henry has been and Saquon Barkley, and I'm like they don't run for 2,000, 1,900 if they're on their old teams, right? I think switching teams to being on better teams is worth about 600 yards per guy. Otherwise, they'll be fine if they're still a Giant, and they're fine if they're Tennessee, but they're not where they're at right now when they get in those things. So yeah, you got to stop him. And this is and kind of I'll lead this into hear what Brian has to say. I'm anxious to see, because yes, I think the game plans are the same with Jacobs and with Barkley, is how patient is Matt LaFleur willing to be with Josh Jacobs if there's some 3 and outs, if there are some, hey, we get 2 yards, like how long will you still pound on that rock to get it to break? And Brian, you've been on that line, right? I'm sure you've had games where it's been hard sledding in the first 3 and 4, the first half, and you guys like, but we know it's there if we just keep going. And I think that might be one of the keys for the Packers, is that even if it doesn't yield results right away, they may still need to just keep pounding, keep trying, even if it looks ugly early on, instead of going, well, that's not going to work. Let's just start flinging it down the field. I don't know where you are on that, Brian.
Hold on real quick before we get to Brian. Is that a Chiefs Marquez Valdez-Scantling behind you?
There you go, buddy. Now? There you go. Yep, that's MVS
so
for the Chiefs.
Your son really likes MVS.
Does he have a Saints one?
We'll see how all things shall be revealed in time.
Wow. Okay. Sorry, Brian. Go ahead.
This is like, we've got a fan who's got like all the different Ryan and Tannehill jerseys, and I've had to make fun of that guy before.
Insane.
That's impressive. That's impressive.
Yeah, I'm not even
really
mad.
good.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, hey, more power to him, man. That's great. I mean, well, to your point, John, like I agree. Like it's tough. I mean, from a player perspective, like you definitely understand. Like, hey, like we know we can break them. We can get to it. We can get to it. We can make this thing work if we continue to lean on them, and we're close. We can push through this, but there's a couple different factors that go into that, right? One is obviously how the game is going, right? From on the other side of the ball, which we've seen the Packers at times, unfortunately, you get behind 21-14, and the coach already goes, all right, we can't do this anymore. We have to throw our way out of it and score. And that's one way you have to be taken out of it. And the other way is just the coach in general, which we always, I mean, I'm not saying it always happened, but not saying with LaFleur, but with Mike, we were always going to throw out of it, right? Like it was always going to be, we may run a few times in the first series, but no matter what, it was always going to be Aaron's going to throw us out of it. Like, and that was going to be the way. So like, unfortunately, it wasn't normally till like the fourth quarter, we were just going to, beat our head against that wall until it finally broke and trying to run down the clock, where this team now, they're doing that early and they're breaking teams down early, and it's worked to some success. But when your defense is giving up 17 points and you only got 3 or 7, the coach starts to get a little nervous. Like, hey, can we continue this trend without getting points? So that's where it's going to be decided, right? If Green Bay's holding Philly in check, then yeah, LaFleur can continue on with that formula, and he can continue to try to pound the rock and wear Philly out. But if Philly's moving the football and scoring touchdowns or even points and we're getting nothing, like, ball's going to have to go in the air. So, like, something's going to have to give one way or another. But
absolutely,
I'm with you. Like, you feel it as a player. Like, you can tell when things are starting to shift, and like, those 2-yard gains start to turn into 5-yard gains, and you can feel movement in double teams. Like, you can feel it, and sometimes the coaches don't see it or they don't understand it. And by that time, sometimes it's too late, and you're quarterback's in shotgun and you're running 2-jet or scat 2, and you're throwing it, and that's that. Hold on now.
It's gonna be a fun one. Packers, Eagles. These are two really well constructed teams, right? Like, they've got weapons galore. Both defenses have made significant improvements from a year ago. It's gonna be a fun one. Fun matchup at Lincoln Financial Field.
Real quick, I think there is a point to be made: is who can get the other team off their game plan, right? If you can make somebody shift, then now you're dictating instead of reacting.
Yeah, and that's ultimately who's probably going to win this game, right? I mean, it's as simple as that. John Anderson, Brian Balaga, Gabe Knights, Alex Strofe hanging out with you. We roll into hour number 2 of Green Bay Game Day coming up next, and that, of course, is the Jason Wilde Hour, 3-time Wisconsin Sports Writer of the Year, co-host of Wilde and Tausch. Jason Wilde joins us next, hour 2 of Green Bay Game Day, right after this.
More Green Bay Game Day coming up on ESPN Wisconsin at 620 WTMJ.
Now's the time to plan your total experience getaway to the Island Resort and Casino. With over 450 hotel rooms and a luxurious spa, relax in style before diving into nonstop casino action. Watch your favorite teams on the big screens and enjoy great food and drinks at T. McSee's Sports Bar, or savor top-tier dining at Horizon Steakhouse. Then amp up your night with live music and comedy. Head to where the big game, big wins, and big fun come together. The Island Resort and Casino.
Wisconsin Indoor Golf Center is hosting another Scramble tournament with $750 in cash prizes available. Hey ESPN Milwaukee, this is Gary Ellison, and Wisconsin Indoor Golf Center invites you to play in a 2-man scramble at Pebble Beach, all from their comfortable golf simulators. Grab a friend and sign up today at WisconsinIndoorGolfCenter.com. The tournament costs $120 per pairing and is happening now through January 31st. Your winter chance to play Pebble Beach awaits. WisconsinIndoorGolfCenter.com.
Hey, this is Brad Nortman, here to tell you about my friends at Bank 5-9. Everywhere I go throughout the area, I see Bank 5-9, and it's no wonder why. Not only do they have 14 branch locations, but their employees spend nearly 9,000 hours each year volunteering in the communities that they serve. That's on top of the financial support that they provide to several hundred nonprofits right here in southeastern Wisconsin. If you're looking for a true local community bank, check them out today at bank59.com. Member FDIC.
Progressive presents Renters MVP's Most Valuable Possessions. Today's MVP, Emily Neal's 70-inch TV. Because after watching her second-grade students yell at each other for hours, there's nothing Emily enjoys more than watching super-rich housewives also yell at each other. Why? Because those women are not her responsibility. And that's why her TV is today's MVP. Keep your most valuable possessions protected by bundling your renters and auto insurance with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
If you've been busy this past holiday season, then it's time to finally focus on you. And that's where Macy's comes in. Come and treat yourself to something great, like rejuvenating skincare routines from Lancome, Estee Lauder, Clinique, Shiseido, Kiehl's, and more of your favorites. With so many great deals at Macy's, you'll be able to pick up a new cleanser and a new serum and a new moisturizer now during our Deals for Great Skin event. So, what are you waiting for? Refresh your routine today at Macy's.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stopped, opt out. Consult a doctor prior to use.
You look amazing. What have you been doing?
You've heard of Ozempic, Wegovy, and the other GLP-1 medications, right? Well, I found this great company called Zelfie. If you qualify, their providers can prescribe medications like Ozempic and Wegovy and other GLP-1 medications that are 80 to 90% less expensive, all 100% online.
I can get GLP-1 medications for 80 to 90% less and do it all online? No doctor's office or pharmacy?
Yes, Zelty can help provide you with semaglutide or tirzepatide, the active ingredients in Ozempic and other expensive GLP-1s, but for 80 to 90% less.
How do I get started with Zelty?
Just send them a text.
Text COMMON to 200-300 to get started today with Zelty to see if you're eligible. Get the same active ingredients in Wegovy or Ozempic, but for 80 to 90% less and 100% online. Don't wait. Text COMMON to 200-300 right now for a link to your exclusive offer. Text COMMON to 200-300. COMMON to 200-300.
You want to feel important. You want to be a part of something bigger, something that matters and can help change things. You want to feel like you belong. We know. We felt that way too. And that's why we did something about it. We aren't just Army National Guard soldiers. We are normal people just like you. And together, we can make a difference. Take on your legacy. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard. Aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
Hey, this is Brad Nortman from KBN. Tune in to Kyle Bruston Nortman every day from 2 to 5. WKTI and WKTI HD Milwaukee.
A locally owned Good Karma brand station.
Party people! It's time to get this tailgate started and get you ready for the green and gold game. This is Green Bay Game Day, presented by Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. There is a difference. Now broadcasting live from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All studio at the Avenue in downtown Milwaukee. Alongside Gabe Neitzel, ESPN legend John Anderson, and green and gold legend Ryan Bulaga. Here's Alex Strofe.
Away we go, Hour 2, Green Bay Game Day, presented by the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Alex Strofe, Gabe Neitzel with you from the Gruber Law Offices. One Call That's All studio at the Avenue in downtown Milwaukee. Wipeout and ESPN legend John Anderson somewhere in the great country of the United States of America. Brian Bulaga at his homestead down in Florida, and joining us dancing in the lovely city of Green Bay is the three-time Wisconsin Sports Writer of the Year, co-host of Wilde and Tausch, Jason Wilde on the Jason Wilde Hour here on Green Bay Game Day. Jason, you're wearing your green today. I like it.
Celtic Football Club. I have no idea if they're any good or not. I just like the color. I had the hat that matched the sweatshirt. It was cold in the basement. Didn't want to wear Packers gear. Didn't want to wear Eagles. I don't have any Packers gear. Didn't want to wear any Boston College gear in case Jeff Hafley was here. So I just wanted to go straight at whatever I was wearing.
So what happened this week? You wore a Boston College sweatshirt to Jeff Hafley's press conference, and then he asked you publicly what size you wear, and you didn't like that. What happened?
No, I wasn't bothered by that. I believe one of my colleagues said, "Oh, I don't know if you want to ask that," because there's a brotherhood, camaraderie, if you will. So about 6 weeks ago, Jeff Hafley noticed I was wearing like a Virginia basketball hoodie because, obviously I mean, he's not the coach anymore, but I have a really good relationship with Tony Bennett. And so I like to support his team. And then the next week, I think I wore like a SMU basketball hoodie, which I just liked the way it looked.
Okay.
And so he started noticing every week I was wearing a different hoodie. And then last week, knowing he was doing this, I wore a Pitt Panthers one that I have, and that led to the conversation. That's where he met his wife, and we had a good exchange, and he asked if I had a Boston College one, and I said I did. And so he forgot about it totally. He knew that the first question out of the chute was going to be, the hell were you guys doing at the end of the Bears game? And so he came in, I think he was kind of, rueing the fact that he was going to have to talk to us. And there I am sitting with a you-know-what-eating grin on my face with my Boston College hoodie, which is probably 9 or 10 years old, which I was a slightly thinner guy 9 or 10 years ago. So it was somewhat ill-fitting. But I did it for the team, and he got a big kick out of it. And he did offer me some new gear, which I said I will have to take him up on since I literally took it off back when I got in my office because I did not wear it. We also presented the Tom Mulhern Award that day, so I was not going to be wearing a schmedium Boston College sweatshirt while giving out our prestigious award. So I changed out of that sweatshirt, and I literally brought it home and gave it to Paula to put in her Poshmark sales pile. So that sweatshirt will be headed to some happy home somewhere, probably in Boston. But it was a great week. We gave out the Tom Mulhern Award to Xavier McKinney and Josh Jacobs, which is our stand-up guy award. One of these things is not like the other, the old thing they used to do on Sesame Street. One of these people in this four square has won the Tom Mulhern Award. It's not Gabe, and it's not John.
It was me?
It's not Stroke.
Oh.
So it was a great week, and now we'll see if it was a great week of preparation for a team to deliver a great win, an upset win, today at Lincoln Financial Field.
Well, you bring that up, and I know how much that means to you. Your mentor, of course, the late Tom Mulhern, and that's named after him. But the two individuals that received that award are in their first season as Green Bay Packers. Josh Jacobs, Xavier McKinney. As we prepare for a wild card game and another postseason run for Green Bay, I think it's a good time to acknowledge Goody. Great job in free agency this past year with both of those swings. Xavier McKinney also this week named a first-team All-Pro by the Associated Press. And we know how big of a part of the game plan that Josh Jacobs will be today for Green Bay in this postseason game offensively. How important have those two been to this team's success, finishing the regular season 11-6?
So I think probably during the course of the season, I said this was my favorite story to write probably 3 or 4 times.
You did.
But now today's story is my favorite story to write. So the night before their signings became official, they had already agreed to terms. Xavier McKinney, Josh Jacobs, Matt LaFleur, Ben Sermons, the running backs coach, Jeff Halfley, Ryan Downer, the defensive backs coach, Derek Ansley, obviously LaFleur. Apparently everyone except for Steno, who apparently didn't get invited. He said his got lost in the mail. But they all had dinner at Tavern in the Sky at Lodge Kohler, overlooking Lambeau Field. Xavier McKinney's mom was there. His uncle was there. And I kind of went behind the scenes and talked to all those guys about that dinner because – and Keyshawn Nixon, by the way, would take major exception to you not including him among the free agent signings because he was technically a free agent for a few days.
I guess that's true.
And then signed with the Packers. He was at dinner, too.
Oh, was he?
He wanted to make sure I knew that. He was a great source for the story. But, look, there was a feeling that night that they had really changed their football team. And as we know, they made the playoffs last year with a first-year starting quarterback and the youngest roster in the league. But they added 2 guys who are both young players themselves still at age 25 for McKinney and 26 for Josh Jacobs, but guys that were experienced, that had been captains, and both on the field and off. Matt LaFleur, I talked to him for about 10 minutes after his press conference on Friday, and he just – He didn't want me to write that they exceeded his expectations. And I said, Matt, I'm guessing based on their contracts, you had really high expectations for them to begin with. To say that they exceeded them really says something. And he said, you know what? You're right. That's fair. And so to understand just what difference makers these guys have been, not only rushing for 1,300 yards and 15 touchdowns, not only 8 interceptions and being first team All-Pro. Like, this team is, I feel fairly confident. I wrote this in the story. I feel fairly confident this team is not here without them. Like, I don't care how good you feel about Jordan Love. I don't care how good you feel about, if Aaron Jones had been re-signed, because I love Aaron Jones. But I'm convinced that this team is spending today in their offseason if those 2 guys are not on the roster.
Brian Bulaga won the 2019 Tom Mulhern Stand-Up Guy Award, and I want to go to him because when I hear about this dinner that I learned about this week, I'm just fascinated in this behind-the-scenes stuff. Blue, were you ever a part of any dinners like the one Jason wrote about today?
Absolutely not. No, I never got invited to any dinner. No, because I can assure you, no one cared about signing me as a free agent. Even when I got re-signed to Green Bay, no one cared about me.
Hearing how Keyshawn Nixon operated, I thought maybe Blue got a little Tavern in the Sky.
Nope. Nobody cared that much to have me for dinner when I resigned as a free agent. But I mean, I think when you bring in, I mean, you look at those two players, right? Those are franchise, besides like quarterbacks, right? You bring in quarterbacks, or you bring in a guy like Charles Woodson. I mean, you can kind of look at McKinney, what he becomes as he grows as a player. You know, I'm not putting him in the same category, but as he matures as a player and where he becomes, you bring in these types of players. Those are franchise changing players, right? I mean, and that's how you treat those types of guys. So it doesn't shock me that that is how they courted them and how they treated those guys, and you know, when they came in and treated their family. So it doesn't shock me at all. And you know, I'm a little more disappointed that Steno didn't get the invite. You know, I mean, the offensive coordinator doesn't get the invite when the running back comes into town. I mean, it's a little disrespectful. I mean, but you know what? That's okay. You know what? Hey, former offensive line coach.
I was about to say, he's just sticking up for the former O-lineman. That's all he's doing.
Yeah, former offensive line coach. I mean, again, hey, you know what? We'll just do our job. That's okay. That's fine. It's all right.
Thankless.
No big deal.
Thankless job.
Thankless job. Thankless job.
Is that award behind you in any of the things you have sitting there, Brian? Is that
great question?
I see your
damn well
cup,
better
and I think
be.
you got like a Motor Trend Car of the Year award back there. I don't know what the hell you got back there.
Wilde says it damn well better be.
No, that one is upstairs in the media room. I got one.
Okay.
All the other ones upstairs.
He's got so many awards, he just doesn't know what to do with
What's
them
the
all.
media room? What does that mean?
It's like where I got like a couple of the helmets that I took when I left Green Bay, and a couple signed jerseys of guys that I played with, and it's up
So
in
it's
there.
more prominently displayed up there then.
Allegedly.
Yeah, it's up there.
Allegedly.
It's not alleged. It's there.
It's in like a dresser drawer, isn't it?
No, it's not.
Behind the helmets.
No. When we moved, Abby took all the awards in one box, and she took them out, and then she places them all in the spots that she believes they go. So that's just where it's at.
You know what? He's just a good husband. He just listens.
That's where it goes. Listen, I do not decorate. That's not what I do. That's not my.
You know, for some reason, I believe you. Yeah, for some reason, I believe you.
I'm more curious about the helmets you took, that you described them that way, as opposed to my helmets that I kept.
Well,
again,
I
offensive
took them,
linemen
but
don't get respect, so he's got to take them.
Well, I paid for them. We'll just say that I paid for them on my way out. I was billed for those out of my paycheck. So like, we'll just put it that way. They were not. I did not take. Well, I took them, yes, but then I was billed for them. On my last
so he did
check.
pay for
So,
them.
Yeah.
It is not. It is not thievery happening at 1265 Lombardi Avenue.
No.
We're clearing your name, Brian. We're clearing your name.
How many
Believe
years
me,
did you play there? And they wouldn't give you a lid? They would,
Right?
can't take it with you?
Yes, exactly.
No, sir. You want your game jersey? That's direct. That's taken out of your check, my friend.
Crazy. We continue to preview Packers Eagles coming up next. Alex Strofe, Gabe Neitzel, John Anderson, Jason Wilde, and the Super Bowl champion Brian Bulaga. Yes, we will attempt at least to talk about the game coming up next. It's Green Bay Game Day.
More Green Bay Game Day coming up on ESPN Wisconsin and 620 WTMJ.
Save big money now during Menards Bag Sale. All prices after 15% Bag Sale discount. Pick up a 6-pack of LED light bulbs for just $2.97. Get a wood or fiberglass claw hammer for only $2.29 each. 52-ounce bottles of Ajax dish soap, just $2.97. And 12 packs of Shasta soda in assorted flavors are only $4.19. Don't miss out on Menards Bag Sale happening now. Good through January 12th. See store for complete details.
Save big money at Menards.
One call, that's all. It's not just a slogan, but a way of life at Gruber Law Offices. If you've been injured, call our team today. We've represented tens of thousands of injured Wisconsinites for well over 30 years. Trust Wisconsin's own Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
And now it's time for everyone's favorite game. Response in Wisconsin.
Wisconsin! Guess the most popular responses from Wisconsinites. Okay, here we go. What's your least favorite thing about winter in Wisconsin? Gina Della from Pella.
Let me guess. Frozen toes? Oh, I know. Driving alongside bumper cars every time it snows. And then scrambling to find someone to watch your kids because they're school clothes. Yeah! Let's face it, this is just the time of the year when we just want to all be warm and snuggly at home. And Pella helps make your home as beautiful on the outside as it is comfortable on the inside. With inviting doors to let friends and family in and beautiful energy-efficient windows to keep the cold out. Pella Windows and Doors is the best choice to make your home just right. Celebrate the new year with 0% interest for up to 3 years.
Thanks for playing Response in Wisconsin.
Hurry! You only have until January 31st to get 0% interest for up to 3 years. Visit PellaWI.com today.
Certain restrictions apply.
Winning in the NFL comes down to the basics, blocking and tackling. In retirement, the certainty of protection and income are the keys to success. And as a former NFL player myself, I have experience with both. Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons. Having played on winning teams with the Steelers and Falcons, studying game films helped me mentally prepare for the challenges ahead. Now I star in a new Hollywood documentary called The Retirement Deception to help you visualize and prepare for your fourth quarter of life. You see, you don't retire on your nest egg, but rather the income it can produce. This film shows you exactly how to protect your retirement from stock market drops and produce more income than you thought possible. And it's free for you to view. Call 855-620-1801 right now for your free streaming code to watch The Retirement Deception. Don't risk your retirement savings at the goal line. You don't need to be risky to have a winning strategy. Call today to speak with an all-pro retirement specialist to get your free streaming code to watch The Retirement Deception. Call today. 855-620-1801. That's 855-620-1801. MitchLyonsWealth.com. Your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement.
Do you want to have more fun watching the NFL playoffs? Try playing Sleeper Picks. Just download the Sleeper app today and pick more or less on at least 2 players' projected stats. You can win up to 100 times your cash. For a limited time, Sleeper has a special offer. New users have to just play $5 and they'll receive $55 in free entries. Just download the Sleeper app today and use code BRAD, B-R-A-D. Must be 18 years or older. Promo code, location, and other restrictions apply. Minimum deposit $25. See terms of use for details. Please play responsibly. Call 1-800-426-2537 for help.
Hey, this is ESPN Milwaukee's Jen Latta. Guys, let's talk about something important. You. Taking care of your health and appearance isn't just about looking good. It's about feeling strong, confident, and ready to take on the world. At Quintessa Aesthetic Center, they make it easy. With experts in advanced skincare, body contouring, and anti-aging treatments, Quintessa is here to help you stay sharp and at your best. Trust me, when you look good, you feel even better. So why wait? Visit myquintessa.com and take the first step towards a more confident you.
You're listening to Green Bay Game Day, presented by Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin on ESPN Wisconsin and 620 WTMJ.
It all keeps adding up. I think I'm cracking up. Am I just paranoid? Am I just...
Green Bay Game Day presented by the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Alex Strofe, Gabe Neitzel, John Anderson, Super Bowl champion Brian Balage, and the 3-time Wisconsin Sports Writer of the Year, Jason Wilde, hanging out with you ahead of Packers-Eagles coming up in about 2 hours from Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia. We are with you for just about 4 more minutes on 620 WTMJ and ESPN Madison ahead of Bucks-Knicks. So I would like to give Jason Wilde the opportunity to just kind of give us a pulse test. We started the Jason Wilde Hour by talking about award placement in the Balaga household. So I would like to give Jason Wilde the opportunity to kind of give us where he's at ahead of Packers-Eagles.
Yeah, I'm in my basement. Look,
of course.
What bothers me is that it feels like during the course of the week, I was just talking about this with you and Craig Karmazin and Greg Scalzo on Sunday Karma, that like just because I, as someone who's been around the team all year, am not exuding like this brimming with confidence, it means that I think all hope is lost and they've got no chance today. And that is not what I'm saying. But, you know, what I got to go back to my Lutheran upbringing. Faith is defined as belief in things unseen. You better have some blind faith in this team being able to beat a good team on the road when it's win or go home. Because I don't have any evidence to give it to you, right? Like, to keep with the biblical theme here,
Okay.
I'm a doubting Thomas, and they haven't let me, touch the nail holes in the hand. Like I'm not convinced. I'm going pretty deep into my.
We're getting
are.
real
Wow.
deep. We're getting real deep.
So my
Sunday
point
sermon.
is this. Here endeth the lesson. Look, can they win today? Absolutely. Absolutely they can. Right? But they have to do some things that either they didn't do against the Eagles the first time, or they have to do some things against a good team that they haven't done against the other good teams they've played. Right? They got to get out to a lead. They got to start strong. They can't let Saquon Barkley run through them like a hot knife through butter. I mean, he had 3 touchdowns in the first game, let's not forget. He had a catch, and he had 2 runs. Now, are things different now? Edger and Cooper, I would like to think, will not line up in the wrong gap, which caused one of those touchdowns. And they had to take him off the field in that game. But, Jordan Love is going to have to make some big-time throws. All 5 of us on this panel have seen him make big-time throws. But it's kind of been a while. It's been a few weeks, right? Josh Jacobs is going to have to continue to do what he's been doing. They're going to have to get some takeaways from a team that has turned opponents over, but has not turned the ball over a ton themselves. So there's a lot of pieces here. But the 2 things that I am maybe hanging my Celtic hat on, one, I don't know what Jalen Hurts is going to look like today, both in terms of rustiness throwing the football and how willing he's going to be to run after the concussion, which I went back and looked at that play. I don't know if you guys looked at it lately. It looks like a total innocuous play. This is not, a quarterback getting ear-holed by a tackler. Like, it's the end of a run, and he falls down and hits his head on the turf in Washington. And he was staying in the game, and it was the spotter that pulled him out. So for him to then not play again for 21 days with that kind of a concussion, how rusty is he going to be, and how willing is he going to be to run the football? That's one. And then the other thing that we talked about during the week, Strofe, I know you and I did, is, look, there's no pressure on the Packers. Yeah, is there expectation? Sure. Do they want to win? Absolutely. But it's the Eagles whose coach, I'm not convinced that if he loses this game, he won't get fired.
Yeah, Rob said the same thing when we talked to him a little bit earlier, Jason. Just real quick, want to say farewell to our audience on 620 WTMJ and 100.5 ESPN Madison. Green Bay Game Day continues right now on 94.5 ESPN Milwaukee and on YouTube. Bucks Knicks up next on ESPN Madison and WTMJ.
So I agree with you in principle, Jason, that the Packers should be able to be free and loose. And I asked Brian about this in hour 1. Okay, yeah, there's no pressure on the Packers, but does Matt LaFleur know that? Because it seems like he's put a lot of pressure on them in the second half of the season in the big-time matchups they had, whether it was Detroit, whether it was Minnesota. So can Matt LaFleur coach like that, like he's got nothing to lose, maybe pull out a trick play like we just saw a fake punt in the first half of the Broncos-Bills game? Is he going to be able to be free and loose?
I'm really glad you brought that up, Gabe, because I talked to him for a while on Friday for this story, but then also during the media access period at practice. And I know there were some snarky people on Twitter. I know that surprises you that there'd be snarky people there. But like LaFleur was yucking it up with Demovsky and Huber and those guys during stretching. I thought his mood on Friday in our press conference, which again is not necessarily evidence of anything, but he seemed way looser this week than he did. Remember when I told you that I felt like he was puckering going into that Vikings game?
Yeah.
And I thought they played that way, frankly, especially early, right? So I got the sense, and again, this is just my gut feeling, and he loves to say he goes with his gut. My gut tells me that he said, you know what? I can't coach like this. We're not going to win if I'm tight. So I think I think he was probably pretty, intentional about, hey, I got to loosen up a little bit because it's adversely affecting my team. That was the vibe I got. Now, if they fall behind 21-3, I'm guessing that won't be the vibe. But I do think that this week he took a different tack than he had to some of those other big games when it was very noticeable that he was feeling the pressure.
Interesting.
So
That's a really interesting.
I
go
got
ahead.
a question, Jason. So in my time with him, and I would imagine it was the case in 2020, 2021, when it was a veteran team, that guy was about as loose as he could get every single week. I mean, I didn't see that guy stressed out one single week. He was never uptight. He was never worried. And to me, that when I hear him being like that, that makes me think he thinks in his mind, if I seem loose and I seem relaxed and I seem like everything's okay, my young football team's going to behave that way too, and they're not going to be alert. So it's almost like he needs to find that happy medium between the two that makes the team, play loose, play relaxed, but also that they don't get this false sense of, security that everything's fine, we're good. We can have a bad practice, or we can have an off day, or something like that. So, like that's what So I understand, like kind of, both sides of the fence here with how he is, but like. It is hard for him, like I would imagine, because like I've never seen that side of him when I was at least there, right? Like I don't know, like when I hear him being like uptight, like I don't know what that looks like, because I never experienced that when I was there with him, like because of the veteran team that we had, and he didn't really have to worry about that. Like that was the veteran guys took care of it. He had in every position essentially guys that, hey, they'll take care of it. They'll figure it out. They got it. And then that's what it was. And I'm not saying that's not the case right now, but it's certainly a different roster with where guys are right now on.
No, this is why we're so lucky to have you. And I know you get sick of me telling you this, but this is exactly right, because the juxtaposition you just delivered explains the whole thing, right? Like when you have veteran guys who've been there, done that, you aren't nervous to go kick Sean McVay's ass in a first-round playoff game, because you know that your guys aren't good. The moment's not going to be too big for them. Now, did they go to one of the narratives that I heard all week was that what they did in Dallas last year doesn't really matter. And I don't know if that's coming from the coach, because if I was the coach and I got there's a stat right now, I don't know if you guys saw this, the youngest team to win a playoff game or to reach the playoffs, they're the second youngest this year, second only to last year's Packers. So if he's nervous about that, like I would have played up. Hey, look, what you guys did in Dallas, that doesn't count in today's game. But I'll tell you what it does do. It proves that you guys can do this. And you should have no doubt about what you can do going into a hostile environment against the number 2 seeded team. And we can go in there and kick their ass, because that's what we did last year. But we got to work to do it. Like, you can't rest on that laurel. But I agree. Like, I think he worries. And look, this is the flip side of all the praise we have for Goody, assembling a great bevy of young talent. He believes it's a young man's game. And he was proven right last year. He talked about how valuable it was for them to go through all those growing pains early and then come out the other side. He's right about that too. But there is something to be said for NFL experience, particularly in the postseason. And as much as I love Xavier McKinney and Josh Jacobs, one of them played one playoff game for the Raiders, and one of them played 2 for the Giants, because they won one against the Vikings. That's it. So it's not like you've got a roster full of guys that have played in NFC championship games like you had, right? And so if he does get nervous, I'm sure that is part of the equation.
That was really good stuff from Brian Balaga and Jason Wilde here on Green Bay Game Day. Terrific insight. I mean, and as you were talking there, Jason and Brian, I was thinking, who is the most experienced member on the Packers? Is it McManus in terms of postseason play?
Or Kenny?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's incredible how young they are. I mean, obviously we knew that, being the youngest team in the NFL again this year, but the postseason inexperience, but some could view that as a superpower, right? Like almost you don't know what you don't know type thing. You're walking in just hungry and excited for the opportunity like they did a year ago in Dallas. Like that's almost the way you could spin it, I guess. But it's wild the lack of postseason experience this team has.
Yeah, I mean, there's always two sides of the coin, right? Like, I truly feel that way. Like, it is a positive for them, which they showed last year, right? Like, they played really well in Dallas, and for 3/4 of that San Francisco game, they played really well too, right? And they fell short, and I mean, it's well documented. But Jason said it. Like, there's something to be, and I'm not saying that the team needs to be just filled with veteran players, but there's something to be said about having, some veteran players in certain roles around, the team. And that's where you pull that experience from. Like, I always looked at it from, as being a younger guy when I would have like the Sittons and the Langs and
Sure.
when I was a rookie, I'd have the Tauscher and the Clifton and the Scott Wells and Darren College, and then I'd look outside and I would see, Greg Jennings. Like, you just had all these guys that you would look up to, and that to me, that's veterans, right? And I'm a young guy, like, so like that's what I mean by that. Like, it's not like they were old by any. I mean, I guess Cliffy was in his 10th or whatever year, but like Greg Jennings wasn't old, Scott Wells wasn't old, but like they were veteran players, and that's kind of where I'm getting at with it. It's not like you got to be playing for your 15th year, but it's just from what they've experienced and how many games they played in the playoff scenarios that they've already been in up to that point. And you draw confidence from that as a young guy, right? They've been there, they've done that, they've experienced that. And they kind of know. Like, I remember we won that Philly game, and I was sitting on the bench next to Cliffy, and Cliffy looked at me and said, he goes, "Enjoy this, Big Blue. This thing don't happen like this all that often. So enjoy this." And like, as a young guy, you're going, well, I got to take him for what it's worth. Cause like, I have no idea. So like, it's just those small things that you take from veterans that you just have to appreciate. And like, that's the only thing that I think I'm getting at with having a little veteran leadership to pull from.
Sure. Absolutely. John Anderson, final word on this.
I think it's a huge thing, right? Because otherwise, say, Dan Marino's going to go to a bunch of Super Bowls, not just the one in his second. But the sport is littered with those kind of things. I go back to thinking I was lucky. I ran for a bunch of good coaches when I was at the University of Missouri, even though I wasn't good. They were great. But one of them used to always say to us before, he goes, "Listen, you work hard, but you try easy." And so hopefully they've worked hard all week. And now you come out, and on Sunday is when you try easy, because otherwise you get tensed up, which is why he also used to say, "Be loose as a goose and twice as shifty," which I have no idea what that means, but I try to do that every day of my life, to be loose as a goose, But the other one he used to always say to us that I thought was really telling was, you can't do it until you've done it. And that was like we can't inject you with this. You at some point have to take the responsibility of yourself and do this. You can't do it. So I can be loose. I can do this. I can get you prepared the best way I know how, but you can't do it until you do it. And all these things sound like maybe he came up with them while he was whittling in one of those Adirondack chairs over at a Cracker Barrel. But really, they make so much sense to what they're doing, that's what it's going to take here. And that's why I'm with Blue. Like you see LaFleur and you think, how is it before you did seem kind of happy-go-lucky on these things? And maybe it was, I got a whole play sheet over here that just says Aaron Rodgers, and we'll let him do whatever the hell he's going to do and get out of that. And he can't hear. I'm not so sure, Jason, your thought. Like, I'm not so sure if I was LaFleur, I wouldn't manage this game, even with Jordan Love, like Malik Willis is playing, right? Like, I need Josh Jacobs to have more attempts than Jordan Love does. And I know we want him to be, just like we kind of said, like Jordan Love, the thing he can't do is try to go out and I got to show everybody I'm a $50 million quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I think LaFleur has to be like that too. I don't think he can go, well, God, the guy is making it. We got to get him some pass attempts. No, if you can win the game on 9 attempts, good, do that, and then some of that goes to the patience. But I don't know how you feel about that, Jason. But I honestly, I'd run this just like I have Malik Willis running the offense today, and we'll see how that goes.
So here's the fine line he has to walk, and I can see Gabe over there stroking his beard and itching to say something, because we talked earlier in the week about how their offense clicked last year when Matt LaFleur said, Jordan's got to let it rip. And then I talked to him and said, and again, I take full responsibility and credit for all the success of the second half of last season.
As you should.
I was the one that confronted LaFleur on this. But I said, if you're going to ask your quarterback to let it rip, doesn't his play caller have to let him let it rip by letting it rip yourself as the play caller? And you can't just call a bunch of Mickey Mouse checkdowns and screens, and let him be the guy that you're saying you believe in. So here's the challenge. I kind of feel like I have Gabe on one shoulder and then John Anderson on the other. Although I'm still mad at John Anderson because he had this bobblehead that I've been searching for months on end, and he threw them away.
I told you I had it.
Find him at a Goodwill. Be that as it may.
I told you I had
of him, by the way. It's not like it's of like Giannis. It's of John Anderson. Anyway, but I feel like I've got both of you on my shoulders because I think both of you are right. Right? Like John's right. They got to run the football.
Yep.
Even if the Eagles come in and say, we're not letting Josh Jacobs beat us. And on the other side, Jordan Love's got to make some plays. He's got to, or they're going to get beat 34-12. So somewhere, and this is why Matt LaFleur gets paid $8 million a year or whatever he gets paid, is to ignore you two knuckleheads and come up with the right game plan that does both. And if he can do that, I believe they can win this game today. But I think it's going to be really hard, and not that you can't play perfect. It is an imperfect game. Brian can tell you that till the cows come home. But they cannot make more than one or two, even, I don't want to say minor mistakes. They cannot make cataclysmic mistakes. They cannot have Jordan Love being tackled and throwing an underhand pass and throwing it right to a defender, to Jacoby Dean, to return for a touchdown, right? They can't have him. But he has to find, because great, he hasn't thrown us in an interception since the Chicago game, I think, in November.
In November,
yes. Yeah. Great, but great. But if he has altered his style of play to try and avoid that, and he's made fewer wild throws as a result, I thought he made some wild throws in Detroit. There's no two ways about that. But if he's got to be able to not turn the ball over and make some magical plays if they're going to win today.
No doubt about that. Well said by Jason Wilde. Fun listen now here on Green Bay Game Day, presented by the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Hey, Gabe, you know what's coming up next?
Are we going to do it? Playoff edition?
We're going to do it. The playoff edition. John Anderson has already walked away from his desk. He's already gone.
That's because he just needs to go mentally prepared because he's really excited.
He's really excited.
He's very excited.
Nobody's more excited for this than John Anderson. I never thought Jason Wilde's excitement for this segment would be topped, but it's been topped this year by John Anderson. The playoff edition of Yes or No is next on Green Bay Game Day.
We're back with Green Bay Game Day after this on ESPN Wisconsin at 620 WTMJ.
Who's looking for a deal? Well, Cousin Subs has a better deal just for you. Cousin's new $10 meal deals are now available online only. Choose between a 7.5-inch ham and provolone, turkey breast, or veggie sub, a bag of chips or regular fry, a regular fountain beverage, and cookie at cousinsubs.com or on the mobile app for just $10. Now that's a better deal. Cousin Subs, we believe in better. Available at participating locations only. Offer subject to change without notice.
Now's the time to plan your total experience getaway to the Island Resort and Casino. With over 450 hotel rooms and a luxurious spa, relax in style before diving into nonstop casino action. Watch your favorite teams on the big screens and enjoy great food and drinks at T. McSee Sports Bar, or savor top-tier dining at Horizon Steakhouse. Then amp up your night with live music and comedy. Head to where the big game, big wins, and big fun come together. The Island Resort and Casino.
Tito's Handmade Vodka is America's favorite vodka for a reason. From the first legal distillery in Texas, Tito's is 6 times distilled till it's just right. And naturally gluten-free, making it a high-quality spirit that mixes with just about anything. From the smoothest martinis to the best Bloody Marys. Beyond the bottle, Tito's has gained a reputation for giving back, teaming up with nonprofits around the world to serve its communities and do good for dogs. Make your next cocktail with Tito's and learn more at Tito'sVodka.com. 40% alcohol by volume, namely 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
For over 4 decades, one name has stood out as a symbol of excellence in automotive sales and service. It's the Boucher Automotive Group, dedicated to providing exceptional experiences to all of our valued customers.
We will help you find the perfect vehicle within your budget while respecting your time.
With 20 convenient locations, we're the one-stop destination for all your automotive needs.
At Boucher, we're your trusted partner on every mile of your journey, riding with you every mile since 1977.
WTMJ's Vince Vitrano for Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Injuries happen, but you don't have to play in pain or stay on the sidelines. Whether it's your kids dealing with a sports injury, college athletes, or the rest of us weekend warriors, the experts at Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin will quickly diagnose your problem, lay out a treatment plan that works for you, and get you back in the game. They fixed my knee. My mother-in-law is back on the dance floor with a new hip. These are the experts you can trust. Visit orthowisconsin.com.
Get the beat of the Bucks straight from a fan favorite and Bucks legend.
Welcome to the fantastic voyage. Marcus Johnson, the captain of this vessel.
Tap into Here District with Marcus Johnson, a Bucks Plus audio production.
My first mate, Chris Johnson, the only father and son tandem.
Your weekly pulse on the Milwaukee Bucks and conversations with the biggest names in basketball. This week on the pod, Marcus and Chris are joined by MJ's former teammate, Dr. Lloyd Walton. Find Here District now on Bucks.com/plus, the Bucks app, or wherever you get your podcast.
This message is sponsored by WisCaregiver.com. People across Wisconsin are enjoying the rewards, stability, and flexibility of a career in healthcare. Why not you? WisCaregiver.com gets you started. Choose between 2 great options. Become a CDCP, Certified Direct Care Professional, or a CNA, Certified Nurse Aide. Training is free. Plus, earn a $500 bonus. It's easy to start your new career. Learn more at WisCaregiver.com.
Panic strikes as you realize on Wednesday that Thursday is your anniversary. The reservations being secured.
We'll see you at 8.
The gift being purchased. Yeah, you've got this. Just like Associated Bank's got you with early pay up to 2 days early on direct deposits. So even though they call you Last Minute Lisa, we'll make your last minute scrambling a bit easier. You've got this with early pay from Associated Bank. See associatedbank.com/checking or ask a banker for details. Member FDIC.
This is Green Bay Game Day, presented by Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin on ESPN Wisconsin at 620 WTMJ.
My night runs into morning all the time.
Tito's Handmade Vodka is America's favorite vodka for a reason, distilled 6 times till it's just right. Tito's, known for great vodka, giving back, and doing good for dogs. 40% alcohol by volume, namely 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly. It's Green Bay Game Day, presented by the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Alex Strofe, Gabe Neitzel, John Anderson, Super Bowl champion Brian Balaga, and Jason Wilde hanging out with you here on Green Bay Game Day. It is the playoff edition. It is America's favorite game, specifically John Anderson's favorite game, despite what state or city or time zone he is currently in. It is time for Yes or No with Jason Wilde.
Will today be the day there are black and white answers from our most respected journalist?
Possibly. I think we shouldn't be greedy. Maybe. You would certainly hope so.
It's time for Yes or No with Jason Wilde.
And because John Anderson is such a big fan of this segment, I actually want to start with him for question number 1. I want John to answer this one first. Despite the game being called Yes or No with Jason Wilde. Yes. What's wrong, Jason? Are you offended?
Okay. He should be.
Nope.
Yeah, you disrespected him.
Let this guy handle everything.
Pulls out the John Anderson bobblehead. Is that what that is?
It is 14. That was from the Green Bay City champion, Babe Ruth City champs.
Had a boy.
Yeah, I had to buy that one too. Yep.
There we go. Love it. All right, let's start here, John. Yes or no? Last year's wild card win in Dallas matters for the Green Bay Packers today.
Matter like how much? Like all of it or some of it? I guess there's a few guys that have good vibes from it, but no, like they don't get any points for that. No, I'm very much in the that if they can draw on that yes, we can go in and win anywhere, fantastic. But in terms of actual thing, I mean, it's not anything you can quantify.
Sure.
If it does, but not,
I think there's a little bit of that. Now, I must point out, I think that is the first time I've ever seen Jason's reaction to a question in the segment that he actually liked. So, Jason.
No, I didn't like it at all. No, he answered no. What are you doing? The whole point of the segment is to not answer yes
could.
or no.
No, it totally could. There could be some decent vibes on it, but I don't know that it is or not. There's no to each his own. It might on some guys. Some guys it might mean nothing. No, there's no, like I said, there's no way to.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a hedge there.
Any effect.
That's
there's no way to quantify if that has anything.
So yeah, let's not start with John anymore. It's my segment.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait, you're claiming this segment now?
Wow.
You've been running from it for years, and now you want to claim it?
The imaging.
Yeah, but you've never claimed it before.
Well, it's not my idea. I'm definitely not claiming the idea. The idea is terrible. But my point is that I think John, buried within his no answer, which was so disappointing to me, is the truth, which is it is going to mean something to some of these guys. And I think as we worked our way through the locker room during the week, for some of them, Jordan Love basically said it doesn't matter. And I would have said, okay, if that's your mentality, I get it. But it is proof. I always talk about this. You guys have heard me say this. All these guys have confidence, right? We all have confidence about our own jobs. But it sure is nice to have confirmation of that confidence is properly placed.
Right, evidence, right.
Like Brian Bulaga was a great right tackle for the Green Bay Packers. Now, are there jerks that occasionally bring up the games when he wasn't great? Yes, there are. I don't know why anybody would do that, but they do.
I don't even know what games those would be.
Yeah, I don't either. I would never do such a thing. But my point is that when he was rolling, right? When you were coming back from your ACL, for example, you felt confidence. I'd worked my ass off to get back to being on the field. But you wanted those performances that would then solidify, you know what, my confidence in me being me again is well placed. And to me, Dallas gave these guys, a lot of young guys, the Jaden Reeds, the Dontavion Wickses, the Tucker Crafts, the Jordan Loves. Hey, we can do this when it's win or go home. So I'll be honest, the correct answer is yes and no. But I'm surprised that it's not yes. Because I really thought it was odd the way guys were basically poo-pooing what they did last year. To me, that's an important building block. Because, by the way, you could argue that's the last time they beat a good team. And I'm not trying to be a jerk about it.
Wow.
But
I haven't thought about it that way. Yeah, I mean, the Houston win looks a little bit better today than it did yesterday after they win a playoff game last night. But I think you're making a really good point there. Let's go to Brian Bulaga, and then we'll go to Gabe before our next question. Brian, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is like a yes and a no, because I think Jason hit it. Like, you draw on it from a confidence standpoint. Like, you can pull on it from a memory and like what you did and what you had to do to go to Dallas and get a win, and it's very similar this year. Totally different opponent, totally different circumstance of what type of situation you're going into and your opponent and what they do well and what you're going to have to do to get a win. But just from a confidence standpoint, you can draw from that. And a lot of the same guys are there that went to Dallas last year and got it done. So it is yes and no, because John also hit on it. Like, you're not getting anything from like, that doesn't carry over here, right? So, like, it's both sides of the coin. So I'm also yes and no. I know it's a terrible answer, but
no, it's a perfect answer. It's a perfect
answer for this segment.
It's a perfect answer, and that's where I agree with everyone. Yes, you should be able to draw on it. Like, remember how you felt, remember how you navigated those feelings. But at the same time, this team was playing drastically different football going into the postseason a year ago. They had won 3 games in a row. They beat the Chicago Bears, and I heard Wilde point out earlier on Sunday Karma that Jordan Love threw for over 300 yards in that game. He hasn't thrown for 300 yards this year since the Vikings game, and not the last one. The first one when he came back from injury, when it was sunny and nice out in Green Bay.
September 28th.
In September. So, like, they're not playing that same way, so they're going to have to me, try to draw on something else to then get that confidence that they can get this offense rolling and moving in the right direction. I think you can draw on some of it. You just can't draw on all of it.
I love it. Actually, I think that means I succeeded in writing that first question today. We got yeses and nos. John initially said no. I asked Jason if he was offended I didn't start with him. He said no. We're gaining ground here. We're doing well. Doing well. Question 2. Yes
no,
or...
we're not.
Well done.
You are really blowing yourself up over nothing, but good for you.
Thank you, John. Appreciate your support as always, brother.
He's a defensive back who's going incomplete on an overthrow.
Yep, correct. And I will take my wins when I can get them.
Shaking his finger in the air.
I got a little Eric Stokes in me. What can I say? Jason, we'll start with you on this one. Gabe asked this question verbatim to Rob Demovsky earlier, which impressed me because I wrote these ahead of time. Yes or no? Jordan Love has to be the best player on the field today if the Packers are going to win.
I think it would be great if he was. I think he has to be a better version of himself than he has been. And if that turns out to be the best player on the field and the best quarterback on the field, then they're going to win the game.
Mm-hmm.
I just and look, I have to be honest. I have a blind spot that at no point this season did I think this guy's making $55 million a year and he's not playing like a $55 million player. I never thought that because I looked at that contract and you look at the other guys that got numbers similar, and I looked at that as the cost of doing business in today's NFL and not necessarily indicative that this guy's as good as the best quarterback in the league or good enough to be paid that. That's just what you're paying right now. Could he someday be that good? I still very much believe that, but he has had the kind of season that, again, the three of us, without Brian and John, talked about at Summerfest of defensive coordinators having 19 games of film on him and him trying to navigate the pressures of his contract, the pressures of expectation, I'm a second-year guy now, I'm going to try and do some stuff that I haven't done before. I'm not just going to paint by numbers. I'm going to be Bob Ross. All those things. So he was good, but he wasn't like, oh, my God, this guy should be in the MVP conversation, which I know certain people were expecting him to be this year. So he has to play. Yeah, you and Tausch, Stroke.
Yeah.
So he has to play at a much higher level than he has. And that goes back to the point that John made earlier in the show. You know, they're not going to play a game plan as if Malik Willis is playing quarterback. He is going to have to make some big boy throws in some big boy moments. And if he does it, he's going to give them a chance to win. And if he doesn't, their season is over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all said. John Anderson, does he have to be the best player on the field today? The Packers are going to win?
Well, first off, there's been too many happy little accidents for him this season, which is, you know.
Well done. Well done.
If we're going to go extend out that thing. Does he have? No, he just has to be great. Now, if his great is the best player on the field, that could be, or it could be Josh Jacobs. He needs to be great today. And as we said with Rob, that doesn't mean it's got to be 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. It just means he's got to be right. Great can be a lot of different things.
Sure can be.
You can be great on 14 throws and have 100 yards because 10 of those are on third down conversions. So he has to be great. I don't know that he has to be the best player on the field or if that translates to being the best player on the field. There he is. Love him.
There's Bob Ross. The Bob Ross bobblehead making an appearance in Casa de Wilde.
So, yeah, I don't think that's an unbelievable answer. At some point, I think I probably had that much hair as a youngster. We've calmed them all down over the years when it comes through. But yeah, so I would say, sure, maybe, but it didn't have to be. He just has to be great. I don't know where that translates on the hierarchy of, are you the best player on the field?
You could have made the debate last year in the Cowboys game, if that's what we're going to talk about. Was he the best player on the field, or was it Aaron Jones, who scored 3 touchdowns and had over 100 yards? That was a great debate that you could have had en route to a division, a wild card
I guess
win
at the very least,
Dallas.
he was obviously in the conversation.
But he was in the conversation, and that's where I think he has to be. This team was not good enough on third down this year. And to John's point, yeah, maybe he doesn't throw for 4 touchdowns. Maybe he has 0, but he has a bunch of really key and clutch third down conversions en route to a Packers victory. So yeah, he has to be great though. He's probably the other players are going to have to be great with him along the way, but he has to be great if the Packers are going to have a chance.
Final word on this, Brian Bulaga.
I agree. Yeah, he's going to have to play really well today, and that's kind of what I've been saying from the start of this week, is that he's going to have to play at a really high level, because I think at the end of the day, that's where this game's going to be won eventually, is through the air. And he's going to have to get it done at some point throughout this game and play at a really high level. And whether that's, he's got to make, like John said, 14 throws, 24 throws, 34. I don't know what the number is going to be, but he's going to have to play at a high level to make sure if they're going to win this football game. And that's kind of the way I see it rolling.
That is the wild card edition of Yes or No with Jason Wilde, John Anderson, Brian Bulaga, and Gabe Neitzel. I'm Alex Strofe with you here on Green Bay Game Day, which is presented by the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Coming up next, we wrap up the Jason Wilde hour a few minutes after an hour eclipses, and we get the official injury report, which is presented by the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. All still ahead. It's Green Bay Game Day with you, ESPN Wisconsin.
Stay right here. Green Bay Game Day will be right back on ESPN Wisconsin and 620 WTMJ.
Here in Wisconsin, one name is synonymous with fantastic frozen pizza, Palermo's. For almost 60 years, Palermo's has focused on feeding Wisconsin families. And though Palermo's has grown a lot since 1964, they're still family-owned. They're still proud to call Milwaukee home. And they're still committed to making the best frozen pizza possible. From their new and improved rising crust pizzas to their guilt-free Primo thin pies, Palermo's has a delicious slice for every appetite. Find Palermo's in your local grocer's freezer food aisle. Palermo's, flavor is our family's business.
Life's better with American Family Insurance. Because whether it's a family road trip in your dream car or hosting a family reunion in your dream home, we help you feel protected so you can enjoy those dreams with peace of mind. Save up to 23% when you bundle home and auto. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. Visit amfam.com to learn how discounts may apply to you. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Save big money now during Menard's Bag Sale. All prices after 15% Bag Sale discount. Pick up a 6-pack of LED light bulbs for just $2.97. Get a wood or fiberglass claw hammer for only $2.29 each. 52-ounce bottles of Ajax dish soap, just $2.97. And 12 packs of Shasta soda in assorted flavors are only $4.19. Don't